All right, Cocke County Legislative Body now session, Chairman Blake Blazer presiding, Mayor Crystal Aldinger present. Mr. Sneaky, you listen.
Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for your many blessings. We ask, dear God, you give us wisdom and knowledge for everything we do, and not be for your glory, for the betterment of this county. And we thank you for your son, Jesus, that died for us in this first. In his name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for coming out tonight. The Cocke County Legislative Body will meet in regular session Monday, July 5th, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Circuit Court Room at the Cocke County Courthouse. The following items of business will be considered. Number one, roll call.
Here.
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 Norman Smith.
Here.
Terry Dawson.
Here.
Jonathan Law.
Here.
Jeff Esslinger.
Here.
Dan Bright. Casey Gillum. Forrest Clevenger. David Beardoff.
Here.
Kyle Shiptag.
Here.
Gary Carter.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. 12 here, 2 absent. Next, we have the approval of last month's minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? A motion from Commissioner Ball and seconded from Ms. Blazer. Do I have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. 3, in elections, appointments, and reports, the following notaries will be approved: Peggy Sue Holt, Royce Thomas Smith, Denny Ann Raines, Lindsay N. Brown, Kimberly L. Kohler, Elizabeth Antonio Boisclair, Tiffany M. Norrell, and Richard T. Williams, and Mark Stanford Howe. Do I have a motion to accept these? A motion from Commissioner Clevenger. Do I have a second? Seconded from Commissioner Ball. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. D, in the matter of accepting the following quarterly reports: County Clerk, Juvenile Court, Sessions Court, and Circuit Court, and those copies are enclosed. Do I have a motion to accept these? A motion from Ms. Blazer and seconded from Commissioner Smith. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. In the matter of accepting the following annual reports: Chancery Court, Register of Deeds, County Clerk, and Circuit Court. Do I have a motion to accept these? From Commissioner Blazer and second from Commissioner Ball. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. D, in the matter of any committee reports, budget.
Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee recommends the approval of the attached transfers and amendments and waives the reading of the same for the county.
All right, do I have a motion to accept these? A motion from Commissioner Ball. And do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Esslinger. All right, is there any discussion? All right, now we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford.
Yes.
Calvin Ball.
Yes.
Caleb Blazer. Blake Blazer.
Yes.
Norman Smith.
Yes.
Terry Dawson.
Yes.
Jonathan Law.
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger.
Yes.
Dan Bright. Casey Gillum. Forrest Clevenger.
Yes.
David Beardoff.
Yes.
Kyle Shiptag.
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
The Budget Committee recommends the approval of the attached transfers and amendments and waives the reading of the same for the school system.
All right, do I have a motion to accept these? From Commissioner Ford. Do I have a second? Seconded from Commissioner Ball. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford.
Yes.
Calvin Ball.
Yes.
Caleb Blazer.
Pass.
Blake Blazer.
Yes.
Norman Smith.
Yes.
Terry Dawson.
Yes.
Jonathan Law.
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger.
Yes.
Dan Bright. Casey Gillum, Forrest Ledger,
Yes.
David Fairdown,
Yes.
Kyle Schutz,
Yes.
Mr. Gary Carter.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee recommends the approval of a purchase of an existing under-roof facility for $1.2 million.
Do I have a motion to accept that? Oh, hold on, I have a motion from Commissioner Smith, do I have a second?
It's right on the, it's right on the Budget Committee.
And I did send that down, so. Sorry about that.
So we have a motion and I have a second from Commissioner Ford, all right. From Commissioner Smith and Ford. All right, any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I like the idea, and I love where this is going with this, but as far as, this blindly purchasing a $1.2 million building, we're being asked to approve, is there any due diligence studies been done on this property, any environmentals?
I'd like to amend my,
I have spoke with, I spoke with, we were probably going to have problems with the election commission. The only concern that they really want to me is to have check the mold issue or any kind of environmental issue. I think a due diligence study would need to be done.
Let whoever we're buying it from, let them pay. for it.
Well, and I will say, all of this would be, contingent on, like any of those issues, like, we are just starting the ball rolling with this particular situation.
Oh, this is not a motion, to go ahead and buy it.
no,
This is to appropriate the money.
this is
Oh,
appropriate
oh,
money.
okay, well, just, we'll
And
get
Mr.
to that other later. I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Didn't mean to cut you off. But, Mr. Chairman, we looked, of course, we set aside $2 million for of the COVID money for, and we thought we could build a building for the election commission and maybe somewhere to house. This came open. The school system has already voted to buy the rest of that area, all those other buildings. And so they approached us and we might be interested in this building. I went and looked at the building. There was a preliminary architectural study done, said the building itself was sound, the roof was good, it is a good prospect to renovate for office space. And for the money involved, for 27,000 square feet, I just don't see where we could, I think it's a good investment for the county as a whole. I think in the future, and that's without using local county tax funds, we can actually get all the offices out of the annex and get them moved in the future. Right now, you've got the UT Extension office with young kids over there right beside of jail that's having classes for these young kids. It's just not a good situation. So again, the county school system voted Thursday to buy the rest of it. They offered that to us if we want to go forward. So what I would like to my motion to go forward is for our county attorney to work with Mr. Green. He is actually working on the deeds and things for the school. Mr. Smith does not want a lot of people involved as far as the, negotiation things go, but he wants to work through one person, that's Mr. Green. So I amend my motion for our county attorney to work with him, get the paperwork and get the ball rolling.
And are you good with that, too, Mr. Ford? All right. So we were good. Any other questions?
Well, this is just something, if we get that whole building out of the school system, there's going to be a lot of interest. I spoke with a guy today, he's the director for workforce development, and so we want to keep that. Third is a possibility, EDSU is going to go crazy. If we can just come up with a partner, we need to get the local trade to get organized. So that's one reason I support this purchase. It's going to give us a lot of space. If we would have had that building a couple of years ago, I'm sure Walter State would love to get there. I think it's a really good idea.
Well, and I think one of the things too that Mr. Smith kind of alluded to, We don't know right now, I know Heather's got some information out, we don't know right now specifically who's going to that. We just know that that would alleviate some desperately needed space here, because I don't think there's a single office in the courthouse that would say, oh, we've got all the space that we need. They're all looking for storage space. So that's why we're looking at that. Once we meet with an architect, they will kind of determine, like, what's the best way to draw that up and how that would be utilized. So it's not that we're not, and obviously nobody would move that didn't want to.
What's the school name on it?
Well, long story short, there are several areas that are kind of problematic. One of the things in the governor's state address this past year, one of the things that he alluded to is that no school in the state of Tennessee would be in a flood zone. Flood zone, not floodplain, flood zone. There are only 4 schools in the state of Tennessee that are in a flood zone, and one of them is Edgemont. So we're not sure what's going to happen with that. So rather than, that was part of their impetus for this. Also, the governor has talked about putting ahead a large.
That's in the flood zone too, I think, right there.
No, it's in the floodplain, not the flood zone. And again, the difference is, it's just a nuance of what that is. Like, I can't believe Edgemont, which seems to be higher in elevation than that is, but it's the only one in the county. You could have knocked me over. That was not the one I thought was in the flood zone. But it is. So, it's one of those 4 that are in there. Also, the governor has set aside, it's several $100 million that he set aside for CTE training, which is the old vocational education, but for middle school. So at some point in time, I think there was the thought that could become a middle school, like CTE center. Again, that's their decision to make. They're not using county tax dollars, they're using COVID monies for that, and we have no hearing on what they do. We don't, because ultimately it doesn't have to go through us.
So we're just appropriating this 1.2.
This
On a
is-
contingent basis, that all those studies, environmental and everything is done, and then they'll come back and we'll approve, right?
This is step 1 in a long series of
Okay.
events.
All right.
Like I was saying, this gives us opportunity. There's one opportunity that, we didn't have any.
As you all move forward with this, keep in mind too, we have a county medical center, and the hospital will no longer take, if you don't die in the hospital, die at home, anywhere else, the hospital will no longer, starting in August, the hospital will no longer take those blocks. Those citizens, they don't get to go there anymore. So that has caused us to have to find a way to store them. We do have a temporary storage where we
Why would
have.
they been so different to work with here lately? Because I've got a lot of complaints about the hospital not taking people that's dead or making them dead.
The facility only has
I guess they were,
a cooler outside that holds 2 people. Most hospitals do take them, this one just isn't gonna do it anymore. So we do have a cooler, we're working on the protocol in place, but it can only be temporary. It's not an ideal situation, this is all we can do, because we can't leave them in their kitchen or in their yard or beside the road. So, but as soon as we can, there needs to be a more permanent facility and an office for the medical
so
center.
what do they do if somebody dies on their way to the hospital in an ambulance, do they take them or no take them?
Well, you would think they would take them because they haven't been declared dead. But
Be better off taking them to another hospital, bypass this hospital. We're gonna do that.
well, I think getting somebody who may or may not be dead to the closest hospital would be the best thing, and then if they're not, then they would declare them dead, and we would accept them and put them in a cooler, until arrangements are made.
All right, any other questions about this particular purchase or acquisition? And like I said, this is just the first step. If not, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Taylor Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Law,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Bright, Casey Gillum, Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdown,
Yes.
Kyle Schutz,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee recommends the approval of surplusing the current jail school bus, and also the corresponding budget amendment to increase sheriff's office vehicle maintenance with the sale proceeds.
All right, do I have a motion to accept this? A motion from Commissioner Clevenger, do I have a second? Seconded from Mr. Blazer. All right, is there any other discussion? All right, if not, let's do a roll call vote again.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Bob,
Yes.
Taylor Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Little,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Wright, Casey Gillum, Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdown,
Yes.
Tom Shulte,
Yes.
Mr. Gary Carter.
Yes.
One more, Mr. Chairman. The attached resolutions, they weren't actually attached to your budget packet, but they were in your packet. Brought for consideration after the July 5th, 2022 budget meeting, but should be acted upon for the next meeting to expedite county business. You have 3 resolutions. TDEC opened this week, or last week, Wednesday, 3 new grant opportunities for the landfill. The used oil grant and the hazardous waste grant do not have a match, but they still need a resolution for us to actually apply for them. The convenience center grant does have a 20% match. My suggestion is not to pay for that out of the landfill budget, but actually out of the capital projects budget. This is to make upgrades to convenience centers.
Do I have a motion to accept these? A motion from Commissioner Ball and Clevenger. Ball and Clevenger. All right, is there any discussion?
How much is that upgrade grant?
We can apply for up to $350,000, so the match would be up to $70,000. Depends on how much. And if you all want to change that and lower that, you just have to change the resolution. But we can apply for up to $350,000.
When's the grant going into effect?
We have to have applications in 2 weeks.
I'm just saying, and when would the money be available if we win?
Once awarded, then we'll go ahead and have everything done, hopefully in this budget year.
I was just concerned that they'd have.
Well, the other question I was gonna ask, can any of the match be in kind, or does it all have to be like a monetary?
I think it has to be all monetary.
Okay, that, I mean.
But that's why I'm suggesting taking out the capital projects.
Oh, capital. Well,
Yeah, I'm suggesting
yeah,
taking
we don't
that
have
match
to.
out of capital projects, because the landfill doesn't
Well, I was
have.
going to general fund too, that was.
Yeah, no, because if y'all remember, capital projects had a little bit of a fund balance, so it
Okay.
can sustain this.
I move we approve all 3.
All right. We already have a motion in a second,
Okay.
sorry, no, you're good. All right, any other discussion? More questions? All right, let's have a roll call vote.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Bob,
Yes.
Taylor Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Little,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Wright, Casey Gillum, Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdown,
Yes.
Tom Shulte,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
All right.
I'm done.
All right, that's all out of budget, thank you very much. Next for landfill, did you have anything?
I just want to mention that, talked to Chan today, we're looking at getting the little checklist things, small things wrapped up this week. And hopefully within the next couple weeks or so, we should be open and ready to go.
Okay, all right, very good.
How about the cameras on the community center?
They're there.
I'm just hearing a lot of complaining about them making the people get out of the building while they're putting them in and whining.
Well, that was, yeah, I mean, we apologize if those buildings ain't the biggest to work in, but it's.
They just need to act proper, not just demand, you know.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that, I didn't know, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I wasn't aware of it.
All right, anything else out of landfill? If not, we'll move on to general.
Oh, that would be me. We did have a committee meeting, discussed 2 things. One was zoning and the other was animal control. Mr. Carver was supposed to have an agreement for us.
2 days.
Ran into some problems, obviously, and we'll have it for us next month. And as far as zoning, study that should be completed, was it somewhere around Thanksgiving or October, you said?
No, I said no, hopefully we started.
Hopefully, okay. But as soon as we get the results from that, it'll give us a little more information about what needs to be done and what we can do. But this is something that we really want to continue working on, maybe form a committee to get a little bit of public input. There's a lot of concern, especially since 321 is being expanded. And it's something we're going to have to stay on top of.
I would imagine there's not any, with just.
We have no motion.
Okay. All right. But we should have a tentative animal control
Yeah,
solution.
It's possible, maybe, I don't know at this point.
allegedly.
Allegedly. I'm not sure what they're doing with that.
The issue is what the monthly contribution would be. Yeah, so we just.
Maybe if they requested some money, we could tell them if we paid or not.
That's not how it's.
But
What if the
All right.
people in the county just drop their dogs somewhere off in the city?
that's a
That
possibility.
work?
You just bring them. to
You check,
Walmart.
no, when the dog comes in, you check their driver's license to see where they live.
But what we could do
All right.
is just kind of like set up an area at Walmart. and
Go down a rabbit hole.
All right, so are we good with else, but we should have some kind of.
Yeah, I'll have it next.
Okay, all right, very good. Nothing else out of general? All right, then let's move on to public safety.
We did not have a meeting, but if you all look at the very last page where it talks about the 911 board issues, I talked to, well, I asked Clay about it, and there were some issues, and we were looking at maybe having a public safety meeting because that gentleman was gonna come in and dress like the full CLB, so we want to do it in a public safety committee. I talked to,
Curtis Sutton.
yes, yeah, Mr. Sutton.
Yeah.
Do we want to do it in a public safety committee to be a little bit more and have a 911 there and?
I mean, I think that would be the best
Okay.
specifically for that purpose, but I mean, you all have an objection to that.
Does anybody have any objection to that? Can we do that? I mean, you all be invited, you can listen to the guy speak and.
He was very adamant about being the one, I talked to the
To talk
mayor
to
about
them.
it, to be the
The,
one to talk to everybody about it because
Yeah.
The only
some
other-
bad information given out
the only other option,
on his side.
and I'm just throwing this out there, not that because I know we don't have multiple meetings. If you don't want to do it as a public safety, well, we can have a call meeting, and that's just where he comes and addresses, and then whatever information that he needs, that we could just.
That may be
It doesn't
easier
matter to
because
me.
you have a couple members of an old board who actually are still in term. You've got some that have said they're gonna resign, some that are not in term,
Right.
some that most likely won't resign, some that can be removed because they missed more than 80% of the meetings, and then you have a new board that tried to be, but were told they shouldn't be. So at some point,
We gotta get it figured out. I just.
they can do an amendment to fix it all for the ones that don't wanna resign, that could still
So,
technically be on.
how do you all feel the best way is to do that?
Do you want a special call meeting?
We could do it as a special call CLB or during public safety, it doesn't matter to me, I just know that it
I-
generated out of public safety, it just needs to, you know.
I just want, it's easier for us to call it a special call meeting as far as the state laws now on the notices we have to give out. I know the gentleman, he was very nice and was very respectful, and he apologized for misinformation being given out from some of his people, that's why he wants to talk only, but whatever.
That would be
his
fine, let's just
information-
do a special call meeting and do it before next month, because I really would like to, before the, you know.
Because I would say as much as anything, like if you're thinking about it, that's still like 4 weeks away,
Yeah,
5
I mean,
weeks
I just
away.
want to get it to where we can finalize everything next month and do that.
He'll have all,
without
he
issues.
will have the answers for you. And I will say, he did apologize on phone to me, to whoever has had to talk to people in his office or his attorneys or whatnot. He was very upset with them on how all that went down, so he did take full responsibility for it.
So can you get a hold of him, Shalay, ask him, and then the date that's good for him, just make it for that day and do the special
He's
call
on
meeting.
vacation this week,
Right.
but I will call him first thing
Next
Monday,
week sometime.
that time with you.
Is that okay with everybody, and then everybody gets the same information, and we'll go from there? No, we're not doing it in November.
All right, so do we, I mean, if you're good with that, we'll just let Shalay, I mean, once she gets that set up, then we can determine what's wrong. Okay. All right, very good. Nothing else out of public safety? All right, if not, moving on, purchasing?
No meeting.
No meeting. All right, and our report from the county manager.
I just have one thing, I know we're gonna talk about on the agenda, the comp time, changing those comp time or the EMA director's comp time. But there was a request after last time where we paid out his, comp time about why he had gotten so many hours. So, I've got all that set up. We had a bout of passing around COVID in the mayor's office. But, there was a request for time sheets. So any day this week, Monday through, or tomorrow through Friday, 8 to 4, the time sheets are there. Joe's been working on a grant, so, his call logs are there. I mean, I guess, in general, why he has overtime is because he works, just last week, they had to evacuate, some people in a campground because it flooded, and trucks were kind of getting swept and things like that. So, you know, there's just all kinds of reasons, and those are there. I listed some of the, or had pictures of some of the large events that would keep an EMA director out, fires, floods, that type of thing. But there also is the list of the job description that the CLB set for him. So you can see that too, to know the day-to-day things, because if he does work, and I know that call, the last time we spoke was 4 o'clock that morning. It's the last conversation we had, and they were shutting things down then on last week's flood. So he had been there from that morning all the way till 4 o'clock that morning. But then he has to come in and do follow-up things and reach out to FEMA and close things out. So you're gonna see things like that, and then he's got the regular duties that are assigned to him through those, through the job description and then through the state as well. So the only way that can change is if you all change those. I mean, emergencies don't care if it's after 4 o'clock or if it's on a weekend, and then they don't just happen during those times. But if if the description says, you know, you've got to reassign to do something else, that would need to be updated to allow for that. But everything's there, you know, you can go through it and see the reason.
Well, that type of position, Mayor, to me, why is that position just not a salary position?
It can't be because he doesn't have enough employees. He doesn't qualify. He doesn't meet the test. We looked at that before we ever did it. This will alleviate some with the changing it to the 400 hours like the sheriff's department has, but it's still not.
So it's state law that this can't be a salary position.
It doesn't meet, well, I think it's the federal, like, guidelines for being exempt from any type of overtime or comp time. It doesn't get overtime, but it gets comp time. Because there's a test, you have to have so many employees, you have to, there's like 3 things he has to do, and he doesn't meet that.
I have a question. You say, I'm not attacking Joe or anything, I like him. But, I've had a lot of calls, especially since I'm in the city, of some of the people that just want me to ask these questions. And you said yourself, out there was a campground evacuated, where at?
Cooper Highway, the old, the old Jellystone Imagination Resort.
Okay. But one of the things that was brought up to me is, and I don't know if this is true or not, that Joe has been acting on behalf of, like, your bodyguard. Is it true?
No,
He's never been your bodyguard in meetings or anything when you went. That's the information that I got.
I mean, he's here. I guess if somebody pulled a gun and tried to shoot me, I'd like to hope that he would knock me out of the way.
Well, that's fine. That's the question there.
Well, I hope you take one for the whole team.
He may be, of course, are you asking if he's ever, when I go to Nashville or somewhere, no?
This is just what was.
Yeah, I mean, and they're welcome, but no.
I was told by the chamber that he calls, and he's your +1, they put down, so he's your bodyguard.
He will go to events when the entire, he went to the legislature, not as a bodyguard, but you've got elected officials from the state. He went to the, thing with the governor. Yeah, he will go to stuff like that to prevent anything from happening, but
Did he go as your bodyguard?
no, I don't have a bodyguard.
Did the taxpayers pay him to protect you?
No, the taxpayers don't pay him to protect me. I have a that's what
Yeah.
makes sense.
This is just stuff that we get hit with
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
It's unfortunate that when we try to change a 911 board, the two people that live in the city, all of a sudden have concerns about Joe. Somebody also called Nashville on it
But the
I
other,
think I was right on my
the other
assumption.
question I have been commanded to ask is,
I don't live in the city.
too. You just work for them. I got you.
you're not post-certified on it.
No.
Should you be running traffic? That should be a question for CJ, I guess. There is an issue of liability. If you're not post-certified, I think you cannot respond to law enforcement calls. I was also told the state highway patrol told you no longer run blue lights. No, you are not a law enforcement officer. You are allowed to wear red in emergency lights. That's fine. These are things that were brought up to me.
Yeah.
And Art, CJ, how does that stand as far as Joe running traffic calls? Any kind of law enforcement?
Nobody can run any kind of emergency traffic for law enforcement calls outside of law enforcement.
Let's just,
The state law says you have to run, Jefferson County, their EMA director runs blue and red together, but by law, you can't run blue. Can respond to law enforcement calls that consist of emergency management, such as wrecks, overturned vehicles, dam break, anything that's emergency response outside is still law.
Blue, red, and white. That's the truck that I inherited from my predecessor, and I just didn't feel necessary to spend taxpayer money to change it out.
like I said, Joe, this is nothing for me personally.
There's an awful lot of questions floating around like I haven't been doing my job for the last 3 years, and I don't appreciate being a part of someone's political agenda.
I think what they're saying is you're doing too much. I guess they're not used to seeing people being able to cheat.
I'm a Marine.
I'm glad that's too much because before I never did have any to do with road.
Y'all shouldn't have hired a Marine if you didn't want me to protect the citizens of
You
Cocke
all
County.
can always amend those to have him do it. You all can amend, not the state's portion or the federal portion, but you all can amend to have him do less.
As long as you don't enter us into any liability.
I'm very judicious when I operate. I understand that the majority of the deaths that come from first responders and citizens come from running emergency traffic. I'm very cautious when I do that. I'm 51 years old. Running lights and sirens doesn't do it for me, all right? I get to where I need to be when I need to get there to support our men and women out in the field. That's the simple truth of it. I've got an inventory list of everything that I keep on that truck that was designed to be put there after 18 months of research of running calls with our emergency responders. I've been through the fire school. I'm a certified firefighter. I drive the SWAT van for the SWAT team to keep operators out in the field so we don't take a trigger man out of the stack and put him behind the wheel. I do what I can to help out when and where I can.
I may have a remedy for that. I'm not sure. You can ask CJ. Couldn't you be a reserve deputy?
The sheriff bonds,
I'm
You
bonded.
get a reserve.
the sheriff
deputy.
bonds, all the inmate,
He's
that's
bonded.
the sheriff's, all the bonded, Kevin Benton, David Cody, he's bonded everybody. The sheriff can do that. But you obviously, you have to be with a full-time law enforcement officer to respond to any kind of emergency law enforcement. And that specifically position he's talking about, the EMA director for Jefferson County is on the short team as a medic, but cannot really be in some kind of lawful position to be under attack, if you can say it that way. But I mean, legally, yes, he can drive a SWAT truck, legally he can drive anything, but as long as it's not law enforcement response by himself.
Okay.
So you can't run emergency traffic to shoot. You're not law enforcement, it's not legal. So, I mean, you know.
Clears it up for a lot of people.
Well, it won't clear it up for everybody, because I think a lot of this is politically motivated.
Good thing.
And I just think it's a shame that one of the most professional people this county has hired in years, and people want to throw politics in the mess. It just ticks me off.
You got people that ain't even working the 40 hours you're paid for, and you're fussing about them, but for political reasons, over a man who has worked more hours than required, when he would probably rather be, you think he'd rather be home with his family than a college
We just
degree?
paid him for
Or home with
500
his
hours.
family rather than
He's working
next
for
to
free.
fire or anyplace
He's working
else?
for free.
Of course he would. Of course he would. This is the most ridiculous
do have one more question. Why did it take the 500 hours before we caught this?
But I said, can you take any time off? And, I mean, that's equivalent of 8 hours a week, pretty much. And it's just hard to get done.
Over the course of a long
I
time.
mean, you could, I guess one way you could look at it is, yeah, you paid $8,000 because he's very dedicated, or you could pay 30-something thousand and have another person to work at that office.
I'm
But,
not questioning time, I just wonder why it
Yeah,
took so
it-
long to figure it out.
well, there's one way to take it.
This is how the math shakes out. At the height of this thing, I was at 552 comp hours. That's 1.5 hours for every hour worked. If you do the math on that, if you take 3 years, as of March, which was my 3-year anniversary, we divide that by 1.5 hours of comp time, you get 368 hours of actual time. If you divide that over a span of 156 weeks, which is 52 weeks times 3, that shakes out to 2.4 extra hours per week that I've worked in the 3 years that I've been here. Now, I'm sorry I haven't been able to take any time off because I've been busy, taking care of our emergency response force and doing the things that I feel like I need to do, writing policy, writing doctrine that wasn't there, that needs to be there, in place a mass notification system that I've been working on now for a year, a swift water rescue team, and all the other things that I'm doing to try to keep these people safe. And I'm sorry that people have a problem with that. I have a letter of resignation in my black binder that I'm prepared to hand to the mayor right now if you don't got a problem with what I'm doing, because quite frankly, it's the one thing that might save my fucking marriage right now. So again, if you want to come at me sideways because you feel like I'm not doing my job and I'm not serving 36,000 people of Cocke County, I will stand here and take it all day long. You want to question my integrity about my timesheets? You want to question my integrity about what I'm doing? You want to question my procedure? Let me stand up at that podium right now, let one of our officers get killed when I could have been there to help them with an extra box of rounds or an extra magazine or whatever the case is, and I'd be answering for something else. I don't pursue, I don't detain, I don't arrest. I know damn good and well what the parameters of my position are. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I am a reserve deputy with the sheriff's department, which means that I can back these guys up if they get into a bad pinch. I figure I got 2 or 3 good balls left in me before I got to pack it in. And if I need to use them for these guys, I'm going to use them. If I need to put on turnout gear and kick down a door and pull a woman with Tim Snap out of a burning home like I did a few weeks ago, then I'm going to do that. I'm not going to stand by and watch. That's not what you all hired.
And I will say, I've worked with 3 EMA directors in my time, I first should say that. And I'll be frank, they've done their duties as you all have signed to them. But this is the first EMA director, I've been doing Raptor for 24 years now, that has stepped in and helped me. And SS taken in $500,000. So you can imagine people working down the river. Swiftwater Rescue Team, we should have had years ago. Joe had the idea. That was a liability right there. But just saying, as far as me working with them and working with the other EMA directors, he goes above and beyond. Volunteer firefighters, he's got their bags all the time.
I understand. I want to let you know, Joe, that these are just questions that belong to me, my district, my responsibility. You know how I feel. At this moment, I'd like to say if we could, if somebody votes for their vote confidence with the rest of this job and job performance, I'd like to make that motion. I can just say.
I'd like to second it because I think he does a good job. He's done a really good job. He goes above and beyond, so I feel a little safer that he's already made it.
One other thing is,
Yeah,
He can be your bodyguard too, Gail. He can be your bodyguard too.
No, I really appreciate, I do, I appreciate the job that you do, and I hope that you know that. No, Cal, no, he's my bodyguard, what are you talking about?
when we have a high-profile event, when the governor comes, when Senator Blackburn comes, when Representative Harshberger comes, If I am in the area, I will go and look at the venue and look for anything that looks out of place or suspicious with a different kind of an eye, an eye that I've been trained with as a Marine for 25 years. When I go there, I will attend. And I will attend just as I do all these other meetings, because I think it's important as an agency director that I know what's going on in the county by you good people who were elected to serve the people. I need to know what's going on and how the ebbs and flows of the county so I can better serve. Yes, I will go to the meeting. I don't drive the mayor to those meetings. I don't drive her back. But you're sure that as heck, my truck is close by with the GPS plugged in the coordinates to the hospital if I need to get her out there in a hurry. There's plenty of people handling the physical security of that place. Yes, I look after my boss, and I will look after my next boss if that person deems fit that's what they want done. But no, the taxpayers aren't paying me to protect the mayor and go with her to Nashville and go with her to Texas and do all that. I do things judiciously that I think are in the best interest of the mayor as well as the chairman of the CLB. I told them just before the meeting, we're expecting severe weather. If there's any type of severe weather alert or tornado, I'm putting the mayor and the chairman down in the assessor's office in the back room. Everyone else will go to the sheriff's office for cover. Those are the safest places. I think about those things, and those are the things that I do. I think that's what the taxpayers are paying me to do. And if I'm mistaken, you all need to let me know right now. We can sit down, we can rewrite the job description. Or we can wait for the next mayor to tell me what he wants to do.
All right, so there's a motion for a vote of confidence. How do we want to proceed with that? Do you want to do a voice vote or do you want to do a roll call?
Roll call.
Roll call is fine with me. All right. Go ahead. Yes is a vote of confidence, no is a vote of no.
Barry Ford,
Yes, absolutely.
Alan Bob,
Yes.
Ella Blazer,
Absolutely times 500.
Rob
I'm sorry.
Blake Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes, and Joe, I appreciate everything you do.
Jonathan Moss,
Yeah.
Jeff Enslinger,
No.
Dan Brock, Stacy Gillen, Forrest Lecter,
Yes.
David Berdoff,
Yes.
Scott Schutze,
Absolutely, thank you, Joe.
Barry Parker.
Yeah.
And one thing you all don't know is when your veterans get these medals and it's after hours, and I've got pictures, and Madam County Mayor is there, Mr. Joe Sway is there also to shake their hands and thank them for their service as we should do also for our veterans. He's very involved with them, that he does when awards are presented to them that they are supposed to have, that they never get during their wartime. He has been present for them. That's for your citizens of Cocke County.
So before you resign, what the city administrator is going to win an election.
I'd like to know what Commissioner Esslinger's problem is with his no vote of
I
confidence.
thought table time, we'll go on this, we need to go on.
I think that we, at this point, I mean, you have our confidence, I mean, you have the majority's confidence. I mean, and I hope that is enough, because I mean, I definitely think, I mean, it doesn't go without notice that you received a statewide award this year as EMA Director of the Year. That doesn't happen unless you are, I mean, going above and beyond what you're supposed to be doing. So, I mean, I definitely would agree with that. So again, I hope that does not persuade you to resign at all in any way, shape, or form. That is not the intention. Madam Mayor, do you have anything else in your report?
No, we'll just go ahead and close that.
All right. Moving on, and may I have a report from the county attorney? All right, very good. And a report from county commissioners, if any.
So I was asked by a citizen to check and see about riding side by sides on state highways. I was under the impression that we could create a resolution that would make it possible for them to ride on all the state highways in this county, but after talking to Chalet, we realized that anything that's marked over 55 miles an hour, that 45 mile an hour under tag isn't any good. They can actually be kicked. And there's really nothing we can do.
No, but Tracy Barrett, who is the sergeant over our area, she does want, she likes to talk because they would like boundaries which Roy Schultz came and talked to me down at the office, because he was like, couldn't understand, and I was like, okay, you know, in the city limits so far out, it's 40, 45. I was like, but once you get past city limits, that changes to 50 and 55. I said, that's why those medium speed plates are, you know, no good, and that's why they're saying that. Medium speeds and high place they can go for the side-by-sides and razor. But she would love to talk about this that way, because she says they have road tickets and they've just been thrown out of the court systems. And so a lot of times they just quit using, which of course when they get new troopers in there, you know.
The thing about it is there is misinformation out there that they say that the CLB can do something to change that. What the public needs to know is, no, we can't change that.
The ones that have resolutions is like royal blue, what's some of the other brimstone. They have resolutions for, they cannot be on certain roads in their counties because they have those recreation sites. Those are the counties that have resolutions. But I will check on any other information for you. I just know Tracy Barrett, she was interested in talking about it, just setting up boundaries, that way everybody knows, the citizens know. She's like, I'll work with him, so, and she's Cocke County, so she's vested.
Right, anything else?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got a lot of complaints about wondering why come the Hallstock Road is closed right now. That it's got a sign up, it's been up for last week or two, road closed ahead, and we didn't know if it
Forest
Service or,
Forest Service got a grant to do improvements to the road.
and I didn't know when will it be back open or what, because that's the county road. And also, last Saturday, got a lot of complaints about rafting buses. And this is the first time I've ever got a complaint in 16 years about a bus passing on the road going back and forth. And I think me and CJ might have figured it out today, because I think there's some people pulling over, taking pictures on the river, and the bus going around them and stuff. Had 3 or 4 families call with Ray, mad, and
Joe's already addressed that once with this company.
And I think they will monitor it more and stuff, and I didn't talk to Jimmy or nobody, and I didn't call you or Joe or nothing Saturday. It's the first time it's ever happened, but I did tell them I'd bring it to their attention.
I'll look into it, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Or anything else?
I sent, Leslie Morgan, the ranger that's over that, I sent her a text to see how long that might be, so I'll let you know since I'm.
Everybody's calling every night because they can't go run their dogs, can't do this, and can't ride up there, can't pick blackberries, can't do this, can't, I mean, it's, you know how, what we get.
I'll let you know as soon as she lets me know.
What road was it?
Hallstock Road.
Just a Hallstock.
All right, anything else? All right, if not, in a matter of report from the Cocke County Partnership, in the matter of reappointing it says the matter of reappointing and replacing 2 current board members for the Industrial Development Board of the City of Newport in Cocke County. Long story short, Linda Wester and Forrest Clevenger are set to expire at the end of this year. But they are, these 2 board members were appointed along with 6 others by the county commissioners. There are an additional 7 board members that were appointed by the city council for a total of 15. The term of service for each new board will be 6 years. As professional courtesy, both Linda and Forrest have been contacted and both wish to continue their service. However, it's at the discretion of the commission to either reappoint or replace these 2 board members. All right, so do we have a motion on
Motion to accept.
a motion to accept and reappoint these 2, and second motion from Commissioner Shujae, and then seconded by Commissioner Law. All right, any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. That motion carries. All right. In the matter of a potential land trade swap with John Dale Ramsey, Mr. Ramsey currently owns the property with the car wash that borders the new Innovation Park sites. Proposal is to potentially swap is currently on property at the Innovation Park site for county-owned property at Highway 2570 intersection.
So I just wanted to put this on agenda tonight. I'm not looking for action tonight because we still got a lot to do. Backstory here is, not, just put a press release out. Won't be secret, but I guess secret sauce is what they call it, with the certain mistakes. So you will not see that in the paper, but the reports here and all that's there. As part of the process, the sites, KPMG and National Site Selection Bureau and recognition of the models that we look at, either buying or incorporating the car wash shop in John Dale homes. That's just the innovation part was wrapped around that property. I've had discussions with them. I don't think we're going to come to an agreement as far as like the price and outright buy it. It's going to be reasonable. However, they have been open to potential land swap if we can find them some the equivalent that they could do their car wash out. That being said, I looked at 2 or 3 different options. One that I've got a pack here and out. But if you're turning left on to the new Highway 411 off the right hand side of that, that was discussed a few weeks ago. But the left hand side, and that is part, is track number 4, is that correct?
Yep.
Track 4.
That's in the mayor's appraisal packet that she emailed everybody. I am looking at that, it's a long narrow strip that would be a little bit hard to put anything on it, just because of the way it's laid out. But in addition, once the owners went and looked at the site, there was some questions raised about whether or not they could actually get that done because of the placement of where the telephone or the power lines are. They look at it, they were right, there's some support cables that are anchored that go into the property at kind of odd angles, so I'm going to do some research to see if those can be adjusted, if that's even cost effective to do that. At the time of the appraisal, those poles were not present there. So what I'm really asking tonight is, one, make you aware that I'm looking to do a swap to get them out of there based on the recommendation of KPMG, and hopefully without a cash cost to the county or to do that. And some same equivalent, but what I'd like is your permission to engage with the owner and do some research and work with Jeff on what would be an appropriate piece of property and bring back a proposal once we have something.
So you said it didn't look like you could buy it outright, is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think
So they have a price, really, that they want.
The price that they want would be like not on the land, but for replacement value to move that car or somewhere else.
Now, what is that?
Yeah, I don't think, I would not recommend to do that.
No, the only reason I was asking that, because you want something that's appraised. Will they go lower than that in an appraisal for some other land if we swap with them? Are they just, you see what I'm saying? Because if
So I
we're
think
just gonna,
they're looking at, right now, their tax appraisal is right over $30,000 is what they're on tax rate.
so really what they're wanting actually is for us to build them a whole new car wash somewhere.
We're not gonna do that.
I mean, to me, that's what I'm hearing, is if we can just
Yeah.
swap it out, we get better land, and we may not put a car wash on it, and then we'll sell it, for a bunch of money. I mean, I just wanna make sure that all the appraisals of what you're looking at, and those kind of
It
things.
sounds to me like there's a lot of questions still to be
Yeah.
answered, right?
Yeah,
So why we waste our time with this tonight? Let's move on. If you don't know, Lucas, and there's still a lot of things to look at, let's just move on. That's my suggestion.
Okay. All right.
You need anything from us tonight on that, Luke?
No action required. I just make you aware.
Thank you, Lucas.
Did a great job, proud of
All right, and now a report from First Call Ambulance Service. That copy was enclosed, as well as a report from Cocke County Beautiful, and as a matter of report from Friends of the Animal Shelter. A matter of report from Cocke County Corrections Partnership Committee. I don't think there's any new information to go with there. All right, so new business, the matter of changing the comp time policy with Cocke County Emergency Management to match that of the Sheriff's Department policy.
In the current policy that the CLB approved, the comp hours or lower, we'd like to change that to match the Sheriff's Department and up that to maximum 400 comp hours. allowable pump hours.
So that's just a match.
Yeah. It reads what theirs says, and it's, 400 max pump hours.
Is this the action you recommend?
Yes.
Motion to
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second from Commissioner Carver and Commissioner Cleveland. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign?
No.
That motion carries. All right, B, in the matter of Steve Freeman addressing the board regarding the road conditions of Lee High Drive.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Yes.
Sounds like y'all are having a lot of money up here. Trying to dig it out and figure out where it needs to go and most important, the place that needs to be placed. And appreciate your service, young man. Mr. Blazer, you remember me about 4 years ago?
I do vaguely.
Maybe. You remember what I asked you about 4 years ago?
No, that's not.
4 years ago, Kenneth Ford, he was the road superintendent. And you can tell I'm a little nervous, I'm not a professional speaker. But anyway, I think I went and met Crystal here also, talked to her about it. I went to the state people, talked to them about it. I live down here on the road called Lehigh Drive. And I want to read this off, and then I've got a few questions I want to ask them. Who is the CLB people that's over Lehigh Drive?
Down Rankin, down toward Rankin.
From 25E to Duck Park Road. Jerry Williams Farm, where
Yes.
okay. Are you too?
Yes.
Okay, I need some help with you too. Okay? Okay, over the past years, I'm just gonna read this off here so I don't miss it. I probably will miss a whole lot what I'm gonna say. And anyway, I'm here on the behalf of people living on Lehigh Drive, the residents of Lehigh Drive, on the west side, 25E. Okay? I came to you 4 years ago, and right before I came down here to this meeting, they was reinstating you, except for we were sitting at the big church. I was here that night. I don't know if you remember that, but anyway. There was a few more people that was here that I knew was running from here and all that stuff. But anyway, I've lived down there for 35 years. I've been a citizen here in this town for 59 years. And, because that's how old I am. And, I joined the National Guard. I don't need to sell this. I just about playing time. But, in 1984, served 339 days with Rob Mathis over in Iraq. And I spent 21 years, 5 months, and 14 days in the National Guard up here. Okay, my son, he's in the National Guard. My son-in-law was in the National Guard, both of them. And my daughter-in-law, she was in the National Guard. I got a neighbor that he was a paratrooper in the military, and he served his time about 6 years and 82nd Airborne. Anyway, there's 6 of us that lives here on Lehigh Drive within the first mile. On the east end of Lehigh Drive, and I'm not really reading all this off, but anyway, on the east end of Lehigh Drive, it's been paved twice in the last 10 years, up to the water tower. Okay? There's a 12-inch water main goes all the way through, and that water tower all the way through there, comes out down on 25 feet where I live. Anyway, I've lived there for 20 or 35 years. I had, I called Mr. Mathis back here. He used to be one of our captains, served under him, and over in Iraq, and up here at the National Guard also. Anyway, that road I lived on, it was established in 1917, 50 years. This road has been there, and it's considered a county road. Okay? Okay, just up to the east end, it's been paved twice in the last 10 years. They came right before I came down here this last meeting, and I talked to Kenneth Ford. He was the road superintendent. I think Wayne McAllister is right now. Anyway, I went to Kenneth Ford. Never did get to speak to the man personally. He sent one y'all called Bullet Wayne McAllister. Said, Steve, we're going to fix your road. He said, we're going to come down there and fix it. And I asked him, I went to Miss Crystal here, and I went to here, and I went to everywhere I wanted to go to. to get this road paved because it wasn't nothing but dirt, gravel, and the whole 9 yards. Anyway, saying all that to say this, got my tax records, I got them right here, the last 20 years. That's why I wrote this down. I've paid in $22,266 in the last 20 years. And I've been there for 35 years. Okay, so that's not all of it. I'm one resident in the first mile. And that's why I'm saying y'all are shifting a whole lot of money around, spending a whole lot of money for a building to make everything better for everybody. You know what blows my mind, crossed my mind today? And I didn't even mean to say this. You had the West End School would have been a perfect place for all kinds of office spaces. And that's what y'all are seeking. And you destroyed that building, that's where I went to school at. That would have been a perfect place. You had plenty of room for everybody to have a big old classroom to do whatever you need to do. But the county and Vice, they went there and destroyed that good building. There wasn't nothing wrong with that building. But anyway, that was a bad mistake. Waste of money and waste of time. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, my road I live on, Lehigh Drive, there's school buses runs through there. There's been 2 school buses wrecked over the years. And I was there on one of them whenever he run off in the ditch, and the road wasn't wide enough, and didn't have the proper tile in the road to turn on the curb, people fast. Okay, there's a road up before you get to where I live, called Raccoon Valley. Okay? That road was bought by Ricky Brown. It was built by Ricky Brown. He went in there and bought that property. He went in there and subdivided that. He went in there and sold all this out. And I think last time I heard him, he robbed the bank. He's in prison. Where he's at right now, I don't have a clue. But anyway, the county here, okay, the CLB, who constitutes a road being a county road? Who is it? The CLB. Who goes out and inspects that road, makes sure it's got the proper tile size, that the ditch is correct, and the right top is on the road before it's paved? Who is it?
The road department.
Well, how can you constitute a road being a county road whenever you don't have nobody here to go out and inspect it, make sure it's inspected correctly? Before you spend $180-something on paving a mile and 3/10 of a road that the bus don't run on, it's a dead-end road. And here's one of the questions, I'll stop there, because I've got a whole lot more I'm going to say. Here's one of the questions. Who is it that does that? Constitutes that? Why did my road get passed over for the past 35 years of being paved, but you got 6 veterans lived on it? There's 17 residents lives up my road in the first mile. Okay? Why has my road been passed over for 35 years? What's the answer, fellas? What's the answer, fellas? We've got millions and millions of dollars. My road meets 25 being state highway, and the other road over there. Think about that. It meets 2 state highways. They say you got state aid money. Who paid, how much state aid money paid? 80%, isn't that correct? Isn't that correct? Why didn't we take that $180,000 and pave this road all the way through complete instead of putting it on a dead-end road? Tell me that.
Well, the only thing I can tell you is, we don't.
Go ask Dwayne McCallum.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that is who we need to ask. Right here's the people who we need to ask. You're the one that voted in to be a county road, Raccoon Valley. You're the one that passed it. It wasn't Dwayne McCallister. You can't point fingers at Dwayne McCallister, did
We ain't took no county road in years because we.
Okay, how did that subdivision become a county road?
We don't know that before.
Well, he's mishandled some money, evidently, has it?
That was a previous.
Well, and in all honesty, like,
road bridge.
Yeah,
To
let's
give
be
you-
honest tonight, that's where I want to be.
well, about 10 years ago, that's whenever we quit taking in any county roads that didn't meet the specifications. Like, I mean,
What is the specification? Anybody know that?
there has to be so much of a base that goes underneath it, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's 5 or 6 inches, but it's specifically that. And then you have to have an asphalt cap that has to be at least 2 inches. Is what the basic specifications are. We won't take anything now. Now, unfortunately,
It's that way now.
They
That's
did
why
have-
they haven't taken a road in 10 years, because nobody can meet
What did you just say?
They haven't taken a road in 10 years.
Okay,
Now,
road
Raccoon
in.
Valley Road is a previous road.
yeah, it's from,
And
it's,
they can do maintenance and things on that, and that is
that
a
road's been,
road
that
part.
road's been a county road since before, I don't think that, I don't know, I don't wanna say when that is, but that road, if Ricky Wright built it, that road could have been a county road 30 years ago.
No, it wasn't 15 years.
All right, again, that's 15 years. I told you 10 years ago, we taken in county roads like that. What are you talking?
I've been communicating with Bullet. He said the road was paved in 2017. And he says 2/3 of it got a cold pave because it was a shot and chip road. I understand your frustration, but you know, you're expecting us, we could pass a resolution right now to order him to pave your road, and he don't have to do it. He is an elected official, a constitutional officer, just like us. The road commissioners have no authority anymore over that. The state took away their authority.
Yeah,
All
I'll let
the
you know that.
authority.
Why are they in a position to do something and get paid whenever they don't have an authority
Well,
to make a
I made a
decision?
motion to get rid of them last year and that failed. But, this thing's been $1,000. But what I'm trying to tell you, it's entirely up to the road commissioner now according to the state of Tennessee. Everybody in here, the mayor, us, we could order him to go pave that road and he can tell us no. But according to him, he has paved part of it. I'm not sure, I couldn't even tell you where Lehigh Hill Drive is. I tried to get it on the map, couldn't find it, it didn't come up. And one of the biggest problems we've had through the years is you mentioned the #1 culprit, Ricky Brown. He went through here and built all kinds of subdivisions. They were substandard roads, and we had a lot of people buy into them, and he had people convinced that they were gonna get paved and repaired by the county, and he lied to them, and then they were stuck on these roads. And the county can't afford to keep up all those other roads. Maybe if we just hold on a little bit longer, we can get you some paved roads, but he told me just then it was paved in 2017, the entire road. I don't
When he
know.
first went into office,
No, we wouldn't go in.
No, he didn't go in with 18.
That was the
That way.
2017.
they didn't start the cheap cold mix about 4 years ago. That's whenever they come down and did my road, they did several roads in the county without cheap cold mix last year.
When he
That's
came
whenever
in,
I asked you, Mr. Fletcher, I said, that's a good base to put down for a road. I said, why don't you get it paid in about a year and it'll hold up? So my $22,766, they come down there about 2-3 weeks ago, brought a $700 little cold mix and patched all the holes. So I went up there and talked to them young men. I said, what do you do, get me ready to pay? Oh, no, this is all you're getting. I said, really? And then they said, they went on the salad who was, the people that work there, they said, we can't say much, we'll get in trouble. Why have you got people working for you for the county that are afraid to say anything to anybody? Would you feel comfortable in working in a place like that? Because you're afraid to say something?
Not the least.
Ain't that sad? It's just like the people in the district. They ain't got no authority, they can't say nothing because they're afraid. And I'm with you, brother. Why even do you have them elected in a position, pay them, what is it, $100 a month they get? Okay, I went to a couple of them meetings 4 years ago. They go down, they sign a paper, 30 minutes later, they're gone. How much is that? It's $100 an hour. That's pretty good money. And they ain't got no authority to say nothing, folks used to have them. Y'all got anything to say? You gonna help me, Mr. Dawson? You gonna help me? I need some help here.
he did come to this meeting,
4 years ago.
well, you came in October of 2020, and we talked about this, and I reached out to the highway department, so I know he's been trying at least since then, and then 4 years ago, I don't remember it, but I don't doubt that all.
Why is it, man?
Like we said, we don't have no say in what they pay, that's their department, you know. We just issue
So
money out, they
it's
can
okay
pay
if
when they want
the
to.
county department goes out and just spends $180-something thousand, that's a problem.
That's,
A mile and 3/10. It's open knowledge for everybody to know what they spend on that place. How much is it? How much did it cost to spend on Raccoon Valley? How much money they spend? Anybody know?
it's
Raccoon
right
Valley.
down the bottom.
Right down the bottom, you can't deal, right, across the old picture tables.
Past that road.
Dead end road.
They-
No roads on,
Yeah.
How much did they spend? Do you know?
Yeah, we would have to ask.
You have no idea where it's going?
The way that works with the state is, they can request a budget. I have a budget that they approve, I'm an elected official, each elected, the sheriff has a budget that they approve, and the finance has a budget they approve. They approve that budget. They can't tell us, they can't tell me how to spend it. They break it down in line items, and there's a line item for paving, there's a line item for co-patch, liquid asphalt, hot asphalt. They can approve their budget or they cannot, but they can't tell him how to spend it. People elected him to spend it the way that he sees fit as the elected official that they put in office. They can't tell, I can't tell him, they can't tell him. The state process is people had faith and elected him to use that money as he deems best. Now, if that may not be the case in every situation, it does follow the law that the state said on how that.
And the other thing I would say is, I mean, if you look at it in the last 2 years, we've increased the amount of money that's been funding, trying to get more roads paved. I mean, we've worked on that, but again, that's only with what we gave him $1.5 million the last 2 years of his, like, using it out of his fund balance, and he ultimately determines how that's spent, not us.
And I'm sure you're not the only road in Cocke County.
There's nothing we can do.
I guess you have to have real good influence with the right person, is that correct? That would be the way to go. Is that
It's
correct?
ultimately up to him.
It's ultimately up to him.
Okay, so I don't have no influence on the money. Thank you very much.
Now, we could make a motion to pave your road if that was.
Fix it. I've been trying to get it paid. I've been trying to get it fixed. Fix it.
All right. All right, next, in the matter of including the training reimbursement policy of the Cocke County Fire Department into the July 2022 minutes. And that was just, again, for the purposes of our minutes. So I have a motion to accept this.
You actually don't have to make a motion to accept it.
Oh, we just have to have.
That's just
Okay, have it read, all right, perfect. All right, next, D, in the matter of approving Charlie Manis as the first district peer board member, replacing Carson Wright, who resigned due to work obligations. So I have a motion to accept that. A motion from Commissioner Ball and then Commissioner Ford. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. E, in the matter of Christian E. Circuit Court Clerk addressing the board. I think she knew that you had a list here. I went and, I don't know, you don't. I spoke with her last month, and she, because you all had some questions about the refund that we had made. I can tell you what she shared with me. I thought she was going to be here tonight, but I don't know she had something else that had come up. Basically when they switched over the software, for whatever reason, and it wasn't even a similar name, it's two completely different people. But whenever it switched over in the software put everything into this other person, which is why we had to issue the refund. So I know our question was, what has been taken care of to rectify? They have gone back through everything else as much as they possibly can. They would not have caught this because so many of their people, and she didn't give me an exact number, but so many of their people, we don't ever collect any court fees. You know what I mean? So she's got hundreds of people in a database that she never even sees. They try to go through there as much as they could, and they think they've gotten that. They ran a glitch with the company, but again, it was a company error.
They got a new system. is what
Right,
it is.
but the company themselves.
But in her paper last year, the month that she sent that in to us, said that company, it was a glitch in the software, that the company didn't pay for it, so why, I mean,
Because she didn't have a contract with that company anymore.
Right.
She went to a different company.
so.
Yeah, that was the technology.
Yes.
And the technology never used.
If you would guys would like, I can ask her to come back again next month. I don't know what happened.
No,
All right, okay. All right, next, moving on, number 5, miscellaneous.
But I talked to her doing this.
All right, if not, do I have a motion to adjourn? From Commissioner Ball and